morning, class. You may have noticed that we have some different music playing than we normally do, and some different decorations that we have around the room. So we are going to be talking about these different elements that I've chosen today because today's theme is Day of the Dead. This is a holiday that is celebrated in Mexico and other South American countries. I recently took a trip to Mexico to celebrate Dia de Muertos, or Day of the Dead, and it was a really wonderful experience, so I wanted to share this with you guys. So that's what we're going to be doing today. We're going to start, we talked about today's theme. We're going to talk about the content and language objectives. We're going to review the vocabulary from this lesson. We're going to be reading an intro into our topic for Day of the Dead, as we do every week, an intro into the topic. We're going to be watching a video about Day of the Dead just to help you understand the material a little bit better. I will show you some pictures from my trip. We'll do a picture walkthrough of this great book called The Dead Family Diaz. I will hand you out some graphic organizers just to help you take notes as we read. We'll be talking more about the vocabulary, we'll do a Venn diagram activity, and then we'll finish with a journal entry. All right? So we talked about today's theme. So now we're going to be reviewing the content and language objectives. So I'm just going to hand them out so you can all have them in person, just to meet everybody's needs. So we're going to be starting by describing the meaning and elements of the Day of the Dead, as we will discuss during this lesson and through the book. Students will be able to distinguish the teacher's instructions and answer the questions, both spoken in a written form with activities. Then you guys will be expressing your thoughts and opinions through a journal entry at the end. For the language objectives, you guys will be using your vocabulary that we're learning in your small groups. I want you guys to be talking about it to help cement the material. You'll be talking about the key vocabulary during a writing activity, and you'll be explaining the meaning of Day of the Dead and various elements associated with it, both spoken and during written activities. I've given everybody a copy of the content and language objectives just to make sure everybody understands the material. So now we're going to review today's vocabulary. So one of today's words is the Day of the Dead, which we've already discussed, and through our book, video, and the intro into the topic, we're going to be talking more about what that means. This is a little Catrina skull. It's just kind of a symbol of Day of the Dead. We'll talk about that later. Our next word is ofrenda, which is a Spanish word meaning altar, and it is it's a Spanish altar that is decorated with candles, as you can see here, marigolds, which are kind of flower, Catrina masks, and just and photos of family and just different elements to celebrate the life of the person who has passed away. Our next word will be a mob, which is like an angry group of people. That's a word that we will see in our book. Jabber, which is just kind of a term that means to talk a lot. Again, this will be seen in our book. Bulging, which is kind of just, as you can see the eyes in this picture, they're like sticking out, and there's that's going to be referenced in our book. Deserted, which is another way to say completely empty, and glum, which is just kind of upset. So we will be talking about those vocabulary words all throughout the lesson. So now we are going to be doing our intro into the topic, so I want to make sure that everybody has a copy that's appropriate for your level. So I'm going to read each topic, or each bullet, and I'll pause and I'll just reflect on anything that might be a little confusing, and you can feel free to ask questions. So let me start by reading Intro into the Topic, Day of the Dead, and this is a resource I got from the Smithsonian Latino Virtual Museum website. The Day of the Dead, or Dia de los Muertos, is a festival celebrated on November 2nd by the people in Mexico, parts of Central and South America, and increasingly throughout the United States. So increasingly might be a word that you're not familiar with. So if you look at the root, increase, that means to make more of. So it's something that's being celebrated more and more in the United States. The Day of the Dead is not a scary or sad occasion. It is a spirited holiday when people remember and honor family members who have died. They believe that death is not something to be feared, but a natural part of life. So it says a spirited holiday, so this is just another way to say like it's a happy, enthusiastic holiday. People celebrate in their homes, creating altars or ofrendas, which is one of our vocab words, that display portraits, favorite foods, and special possessions of their loved ones. So portraits is just another way to say like pictures of their loved ones, and possessions is just like an object. Maybe this person had like a favorite a favorite book or a favorite dress, so that'll be put on the ofrenda to honor them. Ofrendas are also decorated with candles and marigolds, as we've talked about here. The candles are used because when they're lit, the light of the candle and the scent of the flowers are said to attract the souls of the deceased and draw them back for a short time to take part in the pleasures that they used to enjoy when they were alive. So deceased is just another way to say dead or passed away. So the families will also go and visit the graves of their loved ones, clean the headstones, decorate with flowers, and bring food and music. Headstones is just another way to say like a gravestone. So they'll go to the cemetery and they'll celebrate there as well. Also, images of skeletons dancing or doing comical things are common. Again, comicals just meaning funny. So as we will see in our video, what it means about comical dancing skulls. So at this point, I will open up our video so we can get a better understanding. There we go. If I could have everybody's attention, just pay attention to the video.
Tika's Travels and World News.
Today is Dia de los Muertos and we have face painting.
Dia de los Muertos, or Day of the Dead, is celebrated by the people of Mexico.
And that's an ofrenda, like we were talking about, one of our key
We
vocab
decorate our
words.
altars with pictures of our ancestors. We decorate with candles.
So you see the candles, you see the marigolds, the food that we were talking about.
At the World City Center, kids decorate their altar with paper skulls. Time for a festival! The Day of the Dead celebration starts with a traditional Aztec dance. They wear a feathered headdress as they dance to call the spirits. Festival goers dress in masks and dance down the street. There's all sorts of great things to eat. There's treats, cakes, tacos,
And it's all made out
and
of sugar. It's
tamales.
amazing. So this is a traditional
Folk
dance that I'm going to be
dancers
showing
and
you guys how to
singers
do
perform
shortly.
At the festival. There's so much to see, and it's so beautiful. Marigolds are believed to guide the spirits to the altars using their vibrant colors and scents. Everyone gets their face painted. Large skeleton statues are created to honor the dead. They're thought to bring the spirits to the celebration. At the end of the night, we go get a hot apple cider in the secret garden at the festival.
I did try the hot apple cider when I was in Mexico. It was very good.
That was so much fun with our friends.
Thank you for celebrating La Dia de los Muertos in the secret garden with us today. Bye.
We
All
had
right.
so much fun playing with you. Click here
Thank you
to
guys for listening
subscribe.
so attentively. All right. So we talked about our content objections, our vocabulary. These are some of the visuals that I passed out. We just watched our video. All right. So I just want to ask you guys a couple questions to make sure that we understood the topics covered in the handout and the video. So what were the people celebrating? Anybody?
Celebrating the life of their ancestors and bringing them back to celebrate with them.
Yes, great answer. Thank you. Why were they putting food and candles on the ofrendas, which, as we reviewed, is a different word for altar? Go ahead.
To draw forth and celebrate the spirits of the passed on ones.
Yes, good answer. Yep, to honor them by placing their favorite foods and objects. And what are two things that you might see during these kind of celebrations? We saw a lot of visuals in the video, so if somebody could just name two things that you might see. Go ahead. Thank you.
Face paint.
Face paint, yes, we saw face paint.
And ceremonial dances.
Yes, we did. So I'm actually going to show you one of the ceremonial dances right now. So if you could all stand up. No, you're good. All right. So this is one that we saw. This is actually a genuine Mexican rebozo. So you saw the characters just kind of doing this flowy dance to kind of symbolize the spirits coming back to earth. All right, thank you guys for dancing with me. I know that felt a little silly, but you guys did great. It feels good to kind of get off our feet sometimes. So now I want to show you guys some pictures from my trips that you can see that it wasn't just in a video or on a text. Like, this is really what there is to see. So here are some pictures that I took of different ofrendas. This is showing pictures of food and portraits of family members. There are lots of marigolds everywhere, and of course lots of candles. So this is just a map of Mexico. Just I wanted you guys to get an idea of exactly where I was. So this is Mexico, this is the bottom part of the US, and Toluca is right there where I have the arrow, so that's where I was. Okay, so at this point we are going to transition over to our story time rug. So we're going to go and we're going to do a picture walk of the book that I referenced, The Dead Family Diaz. So let me grab my book. All right. So this is the cover of our book. As I said, it's called The Dead Family Diaz. It's by P.J. Brogadell and pictures by Polly Branadine. And when it says pictures, it just means that it's illustrated by that person. Okay, so we're just going to do a brief walkthrough just to get an idea of what we might see. So as you can see, just in the text right there, it's on the papel de pecado like I have here. It's the traditional decorative flags that you'll see hanging everywhere during these celebrations. So you see a family, some family members, and this little guy doesn't look too happy, so if we read on, I think we'll figure out why. So as you can see, they're all skulls. They're all skeleton people, and he doesn't look too happy. Let's continue. So there are a lot of people trying to get through to the elevator to go visit the land of the living. So they're all living in the land of the dead. They're going to go visit the land of the living, as we discussed in throughout the lesson. The living must have put out the candles and the marigolds to attract the dead, so they're going to go visit them now for Dia de los Muertos. There we go. You can see some festival music going on, like we heard in the beginning. Lots of different outfits and decorations. It looks like he's sad still. It looks like he might have gotten lost in the crowd. And there's another little boy that he's come to meet. And this little boy, it seems like he had a mask, so I wonder if maybe the little skeleton boy had met like a living boy. So when you guys will read your text, you will find out exactly what happens. He looks much happier now. All right, and that is the end of our picture walkthrough. So if everybody could go back to your desks and your assigned reading groups and get out your copies of The Dead Family Diaz. Everybody should have their copies appropriate for their reading level. So go ahead and get started. All right. I'm going to give you guys these graphic organizers just to be able to organize your thoughts as you read the book in groups. So I'm going to read the directions. Fill out this graphic organizer based on what you already know, what you are curious about, and what you learned. So in the K column, you're going to talk about what you already knew about the topic. The W is going to be what you're curious about, and the L column is what you already learned. So I'm going to pass that out to everybody. Yep. And each group member is going to take a turn reading one page, and just keep taking turns until you are all done. If you finish the book early, please discuss the book and key vocab in your groups, but just keep it down so that other groups can work too. Okay, so they're going to be working on that, and when they are done, we're going to start the vocabulary worksheet. All right, guys, thank you for reading and staying so quiet to make sure that everybody had a chance to read in their groups. We are going to be talking more about the vocabulary to make sure we all understand it. So I'm going to be passing out copies of our vocabulary worksheet. So this is our vocabulary worksheet. The directions say, for this writing activity, you're going to be using key vocabulary that we discussed in class. Okay. In the space provided, please each write a word in a sentence, or write each word in a sentence. The sentences can be about anything as long as you use the word correctly. Ask me if you need any help. So I'm going to hand this out. And there are different copies for L1, L3, and L5. And I will be going around and reading the directions for each group that will be having their individual copy to make sure everybody understands. All right, so now that we are done with our key vocabulary worksheet, I'm going to turn around and we are going to look at this Venn diagram, and we're going to be talking a little bit about the differences between Dia de Muertos and Halloween, since there are a lot of similarities. So can somebody tell me something that they learned about Dia de los Muertos that is not like Halloween?
You celebrate with candles?
Yes. What about something that is celebrated during Halloween that is not celebrated during Dia de los Muertos? Yes?
Carving pumpkins.
Carving pumpkins, yes. Thank you. Now, is there something that these two holidays have in common? Something that they share?
They happen at the same time of year.
Yes, they do happen at the same time of year. Wonderful. Okay, so students would have more time to work with a teacher about similarities and differences, but now we are going to transition to our journal activities. All right, if you all could get out your journals, we're going to do a short writing activity. I want you to reflect on your thoughts and feelings and opinions based on what you've learned today about Day of the Dead. So just take 5 or 10 minutes to write down your thoughts, and then we will do a quick self-assessment, and we will be able to enjoy some party food that's traditional of Dia de los Muertos. Okay, so they'll work on the journal activities. Now I'm going to hand out your self-assessment. I want you to be honest and just tell me how you think you worked during this lesson, if you were a respectful group member and worked diligently, which just means worked well and hard. So once they're done that, I'm just going to wrap up the lesson. All right, class, so thank you so much for your participation today. I hope you learned something new about something that you might not have had any idea about before. So if you could hand in your journals, I'm just going to collect them and take a look at them. While you guys enjoy the party food, I want you guys to enjoy different foods and drinks so that you might have during Dia de los Muertos. Okay, thank you.
Cut.